Gio. Hello and welcome to another edition of Las Vegas Pitch Presents. I'm here with my friend Gio Aretos, and we are going to have a great conversation today. I can't wait. I love Gio's perspective. Wall Street guy, understands the markets. We're going to talk about some misinformation, if you will. I hate to say that word because it's out there, but we're going to try and give you some pointers as to what's going on in the market that some people just aren't hearing today. So Gio, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me. You know, part of one of my philanthropies is the Blowout Growth Network, and I'm committed to providing people with different perspectives of information. And there's one that you and I have been talking about for months now.
Right.
And it wasn't until recently when something that I had said came true. For those of you that know me from back in the day when I was running the TMP group and we were in the stock markets and mostly the commodity markets, you know how accurate my forecasts have been. And so we've been telling our clients something that you're just not hearing out there. And it seems to be accurate so far. I get Bill's regular messages every week. And what ends up happening?
Mine varies sometimes, right?
Yeah,
I think, and we're going to talk a little bit about rates, your Wall Street knowledge there. So tell them what's going on here.
Well, I think the place to start, Bill, is that most of the information that's out there right now in the media, stuff that you're seeing online, the social media clips, the Instagram videos, the TikTok videos, with all the information and all the realtors that are out there and the experts in the market that are out there, and they're like, just hold on, rates are dropping, hold up, rates are dropping. But the problem is that they're not.
I'm so frustrated, Gio, because every single day I see these rates and it's going sideways. We're just under right now 7%. Yeah. And I'm going, everything I see, the fundamentals, everything that I see, I believe that they're going to come down. And eventually I'll be right. But I haven't been right for a while.
Come down from where? And I think that's one of the challenges. So let's start at the beginning, though, okay, Bill? The beginning of the problem starts with this perspective that we're going to have a housing market crash. We're going to see interest rates drop.
Yeah.
What else, Bill? What else are you hearing out there?
Well, they believe that values are going to drop like a rock, right. And it's just not happening. There's a lot of things to that.
There's a little bit of truth to that. Well, and so let's give that little bit of truth before we kill it. In some of the larger markets like New York, which once great New York, they're getting killed a little bit, but it's not because of the interest rates. It's because of all the stuff that happened over the last 3 years, right? That's now coming to a head, just timing wise. Places like Chicago, where crime is super high and people don't want to put money. Those areas, LA, once great LA too. These cities, they may get hit and they may see a drop in prices, but for most everywhere else, in particularly where Bill and I are right now in Las Vegas, anybody who's coming here, that is not the case.
Hold on, guys. You can keep talking.
Yeah.
The mics are rustling. You're good. Live TV, guys.
Live TV. Our friend Robert putting this together.
Killing it. Yeah, this is not the case. Yeah. And not the case in Las Vegas. But no matter where you're at, if you're outside of a market that is maybe one of the top 3 or top 4 markets,
and if you look overall nationally, rate of appreciation dipped maybe 3%. Right. And that was after huge increases over the last 3 or 4 years. So 3%. And in some markets, it dipped maybe 0.5%.
Yeah, not even.
And last year, 2022, nationally, it went up by 6%. So in a market that wasn't that great, if you will, but 6%.
Yeah.
That translates to a lot of money.
It's still a lot of money. It was 6%
and like you said,
after a year of 11, after a year of 12, after a year of 14. This was like the tail end, and so now people think we're at the top of the roller coaster and, put your arms up, we're going down. It's not going to happen.
No, and we're starting to see 2023 go like this.
So one of the things that I send out to my clients, I think I sent it to you. If not, I'll send it to you, is the cycle theory forecasting tool that we use. All of the people on my email list get this. They have, we update it as it moves, but this one goes through 2025. It's been spot on, as have the previous 4 that I've done over the years. Shows you where prices are going. I'll tell you, because you don't have the graphic and I didn't think of bringing it. But in areas that are overbought, you will see some dip in prices, okay? But that's only going to be a temporary dip because the interest rate is high. which is knocking out frivolous purchases that, are maybe not essential, right? So you knock that part of the market out, which is okay. But if you have a new job, if somebody's moving, if you have, you inherited property or something, if something
a life event
is happening, there's a market still. And that market has to play by whatever rates we have now. And that's not going to change, right? What changes is nothing. The inventory is still low.
That's the big thing to me, is the supply
because there's no incentive for anyone to move.
Yeah.
There's no incentive for anyone to move. And they don't need anybody to move in order to continue having a market that produces. So in our particular case, Bill, if you look at how commodities work, first of all, the Fed has never, ever moved quickly when things change. So anybody who thinks that anything that might happen in terms of like changing directions, going, the opposite way, rates dropping, they're going to drop at some point, like Bill said, but from where? You're going to have a little dip up here. Well, up here might be 5% more up. It might be like 1985 again. Where our parents, 17, I doubt it will go to 17, 18% because the values of the homes were lower, right? But seeing
it's like
6, 7, 8%.
Like the government it is like the biggest ship around. So to try and move it, it takes forever. A motorboat goes like this.
Have you ever been to the DMV? Have you ever been to any government agency in our country?
My daughter.
Does anything move fast?
No.
Do you think moving that ship is going to happen fast? It can't, because by the time you move it into position, you got to let it set. You got to let it sail, and we are at the beginning of that voyage.
So let me ask you, obviously I'm very much tied into interest rates and what's going on there. We are going to get your little coffee going here. Good time. We're close to that 7% range. How long are rates going to stay elevated? What do you think on that?
I mean, it's hard to tell because there's a lot of outside factors, but I don't know that that's the question to ask. Okay. And the reason is this. At some point, will there be a pullback? Yes. How long till we get there? That's what you're asking. Hard to tell at this point, because at this point, it looks like there's no end in sight. Does that answer? There's no end in sight right now, because we are going to get a 0.5% rise this week, very likely, after 4 weeks of everybody thinking, this is the end. This is the end. You still have a lot of ground to cover. Economy has to settle. We have to see where we're at with all of this stuff that's happened. Does everybody forget that less than 4 years ago, we had a shutdown of our world and all the stuff that had to happen? It's not going to happen quickly. So what I'm here to say.
And that's a good point. I mean, it doesn't happen quickly. And I think the patience for a lot of home buyers right now is essentially, when are rates going to drop? When can I go buy a house? But you're saying you're saying buy a house now, because it's going to take a long time before they drop.
Let's talk about that, because that's what I'm here to talk about, is how do you make a decision right now? There's so much misinformation going on. The popular media is telling you, the market's going to crash, things are going to get bad, everything's going to get bad, but the interest rates will get better, but everything else is going to get. Listen, there's a very good chance that 6 months from now, 1 year from now, things might be in a worse condition than they are now. Worse meaning prices, I think, are going to continue to go up. There's no incentive for sellers to sell unless you have to sell. There's no incentive, because you're going to jump out of a 3% mortgage into an 8% mortgage when you're moving. The incentive's not there, not yet, right? And so you're coming back into a commercial market. So most of the places you're buying residences and homes, they're supported by commercial. Well, the commercial's at a peak. Everybody's like, commercial's getting killed. Not everywhere. It's not getting killed in all places. And so you have this system that is rebuilding itself, and this is the new floor. Now, if I'm wrong, which I hope I'm wrong, because that would mean that interest rates would go back down into the 4s and 5s where people think that they're going to be, which they won't until I'm dead. You might outlive me.
Well, I don't know about that. I would disagree with that, but that's okay. I think they're going to go down. But I'm understanding now a little bit better that the Fed is really driving the whole thing. They are basically saying, this is what we're doing. This is how we're going. We're going to probably have more Fed funds rate. And I think they're going to stay elevated for a while. And you talk about the time to move it. It could be a long time before we understand, is the economy still in good shape? Is it not in good shape? Is it going in recession? Is inflation dropping?
So let's go back to Wall Street. Let's go
time.
back to the Wall Street experience for this, okay? The Wall Street experience, whenever you're making a wager in anything, whether it be securities or whether it be commodities or futures, you are wagering against how things are going to happen in the future. So the best investors know how to hedge against that. And so here's the hedge, okay? The hedge is don't wait.
Meaning this is what they believe will happen.
No, this is how you beat the system.
Okay.
This is how you beat not knowing where these interest rates are going, not knowing where prices are going. Here's what you do. Don't wait. Buy now if you want to buy. If you want to sell, sell now. There's no better time than now if you're going to sell something. Prices are high. The buyers that are in the market are qualified.
They're totally qualified.
Right or wrong, right?
They're able to afford a 7%
if they're
or
looking,
thereabouts rate.
Don't be afraid to price a property a little higher than you think, because the people that are out there, they understand the value of what's going on. They know how it works, because if you're wrong and you get a mortgage now at 7%, 7%, and you're wrong and the interest rate drops, guess what? You refinance.
You win.
You refinance. You win either way. But what if you're wrong? And what if I'm right and prices continue to go up and interest rates continue to go up? What are you doing then? Man, I'm glad I bought right now.
Yeah. That's a great point, because you can right now, if you buy right now, you are probably going to pay the maximum payment that you would have in that home. Real estate's long-term. Most buyers that go into homes now are staying in there between 8 and 10 years, right? So they have that window of 8 to 10 years. If they buy, the maximum mortgage payment that they have is now. If rates drop, you refinance, you lower it. If values go up,
yes,
then you're in good shape.
Exactly.
So the
did
question
everybody
is,
hear what he just said? That was the exact perfect way of explaining it. Yes.
So my question, though, is, let's say, will values go down if they buy now?
Could values go down? Yeah, I think there's always a chance values go down in certain places. But if values are going to go down, then other things have to go down with it. And that's not going to happen. Yeah.
And meaning that, real estate long-term has always shown appreciation. The average appreciation for the last 60 years is like 5%.
This is a great point. A great point. Let's stop on this one for a second, okay, Bill? Because this is, again, one of the misconceptions that I think a lot of people have, is something that he just mentioned. So the idea that prices might go down is, yeah, it's something that could happen, right? Anything can happen. But if you're making a decision on something that is a huge financial decision for the majority of people, if you're thinking about buying or selling real estate and what's going to happen with the value of your home, then you cannot make that decision on your own. You need a guy like me, you need a guy like Bill that understands the market. So the first part that's wrong with that is that you're assuming that everybody should be making, not you, but the comment assumes that everybody should be making their financial decisions based off of only what you're hearing online and what you're hearing. The right thing to do is contact a guy like Bill or myself, consultants in our industry that know what's going on, and then have us evaluate what you're trying to do and give you another perspective.
Yeah, I think it's a great point, because we look at it too. In real estate, from my opinion, if you're buying for a 2-year time period, really consider what you're doing, because you're going to have to buy and sell. But most people buying their homes are going to stay in there. They plan on staying there 8, 10 years. And over time, it looks good. And I say, I threw it out there, our value's going down, knowing what my opinion is. And I say the supply of homes is so low across the country that they're not going to be going down. If they do go down, it'll be a slight down if rates go way high, right?
And mechanically,
but it just doesn't, they're short on homes, and the builders cannot build enough homes.
So, and that was my next point. Mechanically, just from a mathematical standpoint, if you paid attention to what happened in the news, not CNN news and in the headline news, but if you paid attention to what was going on in financial news recently, you would have heard that the home builders have actually increased the amount of development that they're doing, and there's no end in sight.
They should. There's not enough homes.
And the average cost to build across the country per square foot, do you know how much?
No.
$350 a square foot. Gives you like a 4.5 out of 5 condition home. 5, you could go up from there with a higher value, but $350 a square foot. Right now, take the calculation of how many square foot your home is and multiply it by 350. If that number is higher than what Zillow and Redfin say your number is, then that's the actual value of your home.
Yeah, values
at minimum, right? Yeah. At minimum. And normally a resale property will have a little bit of a premium on it because it's ready now.
And there's a reason a lot of investors on Wall Street are buying real estate.
Never stopped.
It's going to continue. And I think long-term, it's a great investment. I want to pivot real quick to Blowout Growth Network and understand what that is, what you're building there, because it looks like it's a phenomenal situation with what you've got going.
Thank you very much. Thank you for taking a minute to talk about it. Blowout Growth Network is our Instagram and YouTube outlets where we're just trying to help create a better, more successful next generation of business men and women, entrepreneurs, hustlers. That's what we are. We're hustlers. If you're watching this,
I'm a worker.
That's the definition now of what a hustler is right now. You know,
Yep.
you get up every day and you really work your butt off
Yep.
to be the best at what you do and know that that's a success. So these channels, you'll hear stories from guys like Bill, and I'd love to have you on the show, where you'll learn some things that maybe you never had an opportunity to learn before. You also on our Instagram page get a ton of motivation, ton of clips, ton of things to kind of keep you moving towards your goals each day, each week. So that's one of the purposes of coming on Bill's show is to try to help those out there that are seeking this kind of information to be able to have it there for them.
Yeah.
And get a different perspective from guys that are not necessarily at the forefront and everybody's popping up on everybody's social media page, because we're out there grinding, making it happen for our clients that are making tons of money, not only from their own personal residences, but through investment properties and all the different ways that you can leverage a small amount of money right now. There's no better time.
Yeah. And I love what you're doing, helping people grow, get to where they want to be, becoming educated, learning, and understanding how people got from point A to point B to point C to point Z, and understand that they can do it as well and get there just by becoming educated and learning. So thank you for that Blowout Growth Network. I think it's awesome. So Gio, thanks so much for joining us today on Las Vegas Pitch Presents. We appreciate it. And then until next time, can't wait till the next conversation.
Don't wait to buy. Don't wait to buy or sell.
Bye, everybody.